What's the deal, my people? You know it is Don Tony Teflon, and I'm back at you another one, and this one is from Season 4 promo trailer breakdown. In this video, I'm going to explain to you everything that's happening with Jim and some things that I think a lot of people are missing about Jim. We know Jim is going to be a major player this season. He's going to have a lot of work. But you say, how is that possible if Jim is already dead? Well, I'm going to explain this to you, and when I'm done, then you'll have all the knowledge you know going into this season. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button for your boy. 500 is the light goal, and also subscribe to the channel so you can be notified every time I drop a new video. Let's do this. One of the most shocking things that we have seen in Season 3 was the death of our good friend Jimbo. But that is not exactly how it plays out, because the first thing we have to remember is that when we do see Jim, the time that we see him get killed, that Jim is already dead at this point. And although we have already seen a version of Jim's death, and I say a version for a reason, we don't know if that's exactly the way that Jim gets killed for the first time. Yes, we see Jim reminiscing and thinking about the good old times when they first came into Fromland, and then he sighs and he sits down, and that is when we see what I'll refer to as short-haired Julie. And it's important to what Julie actually says to Jim.
Can you hear me?
Julie!
Dad!
I'm over here! Over here!
Dad, you have to run. You need to get to town right now.
What happened to you?
Please, you need to listen to me. It's not safe. I think this is when it happens.
Okay.
So right here we see short-haired Julie tell Jim that she thinks it's not safe, but she says she thinks this is where it happens. She doesn't say what happens, but she says this is where she thinks it happens. So she's not entirely sure exactly how Jim died, but she thinks that it's going to happen at this moment.
Slow down, Laura.
No, listen to me. I need to change the story, Dad, please.
That was a hell of a song.
And this is when we are introduced to our first look at the man in the yellow suit. Now, we have seen this man in the yellow suit in pictures, but this is the first time that we physically get a chance to see them. And this is when Jim has a fight with the man in the yellow suit at this particular time. But again, Jim is already dead when all this is happening. Julie has gone back into time from what we see, and she thinks that she has found the right spot that her dad gets killed at, and she is trying to warn him that he has to leave because he is going to get killed at this time. But Jim does not believe her. And we know this is true because Julie says herself that she thinks that this is the time that he gets killed. If Julie was really there when he originally got killed, she would know that this is the time, but she just thinks this is the time. So everything that we see transpire here is a whole different timeline that Julie is setting forth on, because Julie's not there to get pushed away by Jim when he starts to fight the man in yellow, and he may not even pick up this stick when he fights the man in yellow, and the man in yellow may not kill him this way. In fact, we're assuming the man in yellow does kill Jim, and that's just an assumption, but it's possible Jim died some other way than this. It could have been a different creature, but I do believe that it was the man in yellow that actually did kill Jim. So when Jim originally dies, Julie is not there. She's not there to witness it. She's never seen it before. She's not there to get pushed away by the man in yellow and try to interfere in all of this situation. This is just her going back into time, and this is what's happening in this manner of events. And during this manner of events, Jim gets his throat ripped off. Now, it may not be like that when he gets killed the real time. The original first time, he may not get his throat ripped out by the man in yellow. He could die a different way. Now that we understand that, it shows the trailer in a whole different light when you watch this trailer again. Or should I say, the season 4 teaser trailer. But before we even get into that point, we have to go back again. And we have to go back to Tabitha and Tabitha's dreams. We know that all the dreams that Tabitha has seen has come true. And she sees one particular one about Jim. So she sees Jim hanging by his feet upside down with like a monster face, holding a light in his hand at this particular time. That's what she's seen inside of her vision. So now when we look back at this trailer and we see Boyd in this trailer with a pair of binoculars looking, could it be that he is looking up and he sees Jim hanging from a tree by his feet? And that's why he needs binoculars, because it's far away. And when we look at the rest of this trailer that we see, it seems that everything in here, just about everything, not every scene shot by shot, but a lot of these scenes has to do with the actual death of Jim in this trailer. When we see people standing by the pool looking down inside of the pool, it could be that Jim is inside the pool at this particular time, that they pulled his body down and brought him over to this pool. Could mean something else, but it easily could mean this, because the whole knowledge and everything that you know comes all this problems. That is exactly what the man in yellow told Jim, and Jim is the one who has to pay the costs, because he was the one sneaking around the most. His wife was digging the hole, and he told his wife not, she shouldn't have been digging that hole. Jim was the one who was trying to get the satellite and everything done. And we see Tabitha in this trailer. This is her first learning about Jim, seeing the body being brought to her. It could be Boyd looking back at her as he's carrying the body into town. And then that's why when we see the first time we see Julie, and we know that this is long-haired Julie, this is her first learning that her dad is dead at this particular time. And that's why Tabitha looks so upset, because Jim is now, his body has been found and brought back to town. And that is what they're dealing with. Not saying that Victor is upset because Jim is dead, but it quite possibly could be. We know that this is Elgin dealing with Christy, and that has nothing to do with that whole situation. But in the end, when I look at this trail and I look at everything, it all seems to be pointing to the death of Jim, and everybody dealing with the fact that Jim is dead. And now we have to see exactly how he died. They have to show us exactly what's going on and how he passed away. Was his throat ripped out by the man in yellow, or was he killed a different way? Now, Julie goes back into time. She says that this is where she thinks it happened. So she goes back multiple times, and it's a good possibility that we see some type of butterfly effect or Groundhog Day, where she keeps going back and Jim is already dead when she gets there. He's already passed away, and she doesn't get there in time. And then this final time that we seen her there, she finally was able to get there before it happened. So that is what I think is going on with the whole situation, and the death of Jim when dealing with everything else inside of this trailer. I think that all the town is just trying to figure out how to go on now that Jim is dead and most likely killed by the man in yellow. And this whole thing of Julie this season is just going to be her going back into time, doing different things, just trying to figure out exactly how she can save the life of her father. We already seen her before say that she was willing to go back and save Tien Chen, and then Ethan told her that she couldn't do it. She could not do it. She could not change the story. But now that her father is dead, she's not going to listen to him. She's just going to try to do her best to bring her father back from this whole situation. And Boyd's going to be trying to keep the town together as this whole thing has played out. That now Jim is dead, and now Elgin's eye has been ripped out. So Boyd is going to be trying to keep the town, upbeat, because what is Tabitha going to do? How is she going to react now that she knows that he is dead? Now, as for who the man in yellow is talking to at this particular time. I know people may think that it is Julie she's talking to, but it may not be that, because he says specifically that this is what he likes. In order for that to be the case, then he must know already that Julie is doing all this time traveling stuff and everything else. And I think that whoever he has down here is not going to survive. And we know that Julie does survive. Now, listen, can you get killed by going back into time and still be good where you're at? Is that a possibility that that could happen? Maybe that could happen. I am not sure if that's the case, but maybe that is because she just gets snapped back into her own body. Because when we look at her, we know that she can physically touch Jim. The man in yellow physically touched her. So what does that mean in the end? Is it just her spirit, or is it a whole physical body? Because we know that she's really laying there going through convulsions when all this is going on. So it's a whole bunch of dimensional portal stuff. And I'll get into that in a different video. But you tell me what you think. Do you think that this theory is spot on, or do you think something else is going on? And if you like the way I do this, please thumbs up this, spread this across the realm, and of course subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace and stay sexy.